right. We have McKenna Peterson on the Do Hard Things podcast. So excited to have you. Thanks for being willing to hop on and share your story.
Thanks for having me, Dan. Excited to be chatting with you.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. Let's give people some context in case they haven't heard of you before or, maybe want to fill in some of the gaps. When people ask you what you do, how do you answer that question?
So I am a professional big mountain skier and a commercial fisherman. So
the only person in the world who can say that, probably.
I'm not sure. I can't say that with confidence, but maybe.
Very likely. Yeah. And just in totally random combination, at least it sounds like. So I think the natural next question is, why? Like, why those two things, or how those two things? I don't know. There's a story there somehow. But
well, that is a long story, so that can go throughout the entire show.
We'll
that
work it in
today.
Yeah.
But actually, having a occupation commercial fishing and an occupation skiing work really well together because they're both seasonal and the opposite seasons. So I'm on the fishing boat from middle of May through end of September, and then the rest of the year I'm in the mountains, and it's just perfect duality.
Yeah. How long have you been doing both?
I've pretty much been doing both my whole life at some capacity.
Wow.
So my father was a commercial fisherman.
Okay.
Who spent his summers fishing and his winters being a ski bum. So that's what I was raised with. So
you just took it to the next level.
I just followed in his footsteps pretty much.
Yeah. But then you, instead of being a ski bum, you're like a professional skier. That's,
right.
Like ski bums here, professional skiers, like off the screen a little bit, probably.
I did figure out how to make a living being a ski bum.
Yeah. So do you need to do both to have a sustainable life, or is it just because you like both that you're doing them both?
A little bit of both of those things. I would be fine with just one of the jobs, but if I lived modestly and lived a certain lifestyle, I could definitely live off of just skiing or just fishing.
Yeah.
But I enjoy both jobs. I enjoy both seasons. So I'm just going.
Yeah. So I want to talk through each season a little bit. So fishing season starts in, it goes spring to fall-ish, basically summer season. What does it look like getting started and then finishing? And like when you're getting started, what's your level of excitement versus your level of excitement doing fishing as you wrap up? Like, are you kind of like, oh, okay, I'm done and I need a break? And like, just what's the ebb and flow of the fishing career?
That's actually a funny thing with commercial fishing. And I like to tell my crew this as well. When we get back from Alaska at the end of September and we're finished, everyone is so excited to get off of the boat.
Yeah, I bet.
And a lot of us feel like, okay, that's enough. We're never going to do that again. Yeah. And then in February, March, April come around and you start to get the little tinge of, oh, I kind of want to go fishing.
Yeah.
And that builds and you get excited. And then my crew will call me and ask for a job. Excited to get back again. So it's really funny cycle that I go through annually.
Yeah. And how much of the time, what's the total window of time that you're doing that as your job?
It's about 4 months consistently, but then throughout the winter, since I'm in charge of the boat, I do still take care of the boat throughout the winter. I check on it. I have a few projects I get done in the winter months.
Okay. So for that 4-month period of time, how much of it are you not touching land?
When we are out fishing, we're out for 5 to 10 days at a time. And then we come back to land to get fresh produce and fresh water and stretch our legs.
Dump the fish or sell the fish or whatever you do with them.
Actually, we have bigger boats that come and take our salmon from us at the end of every fishing day. And that's how
Really?
we stay fresh. So
Oh,
we catch the fish throughout the day. Bigger boat comes and takes them at the end of the day, and then they get processed.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
So you don't have to like carry around these smelly fish for a long period of time. You just get to keep the fresh ones in your boat.
Right. They stay fresh.
Yeah. Wow. Well, that makes a lot of sense now that you've explained it, but I never would have thought that was the way it worked. So 5 to 10 days max. And in the summer months in Alaska, what's the like ocean condition like? Because I think when people hear Alaska fishing, they think, you know, like deadliest catch, the crab fishermen that are up like crazy northern, you know, Alaska waters, Bering Strait, whatever that place is, Dutch Harbor. Like, is that what, that's not what you guys are doing, is it? And if not, what is it?
No, that is not what I'm doing. And I do get that question all of the time.
Yeah.
Those guys are burly. I mean,
Yeah.
it is cold. The weather is nasty. They are out there.
Yeah.
You know, I fish in the summer. It's pretty temperate.
Yeah.
So, no, it's very different. I fish for salmon, and I purse seine is the type of fishing I do. So I have one big net on my boat.
Okay.
And a smaller boat attached to my bigger boat called the skiff. And the skiff will take one end of my net out and around the school of salmon and then come back to the bigger boat. And
Yeah,
then
I'm tracking.
This net that just made a circle around the school of salmon, and we slowly bring it on board until there's just a little bag left that has the salmon on it, and then we plop that on the boat, and that's it.
Yeah, so I have so many questions for you. First one, how many people, I gotta go back because we missed it, but how many people are on your crew, and then how many of them come back year over year?
I have a crew of 5 total, including myself.
Okay.
So 3 plus 4. And for the last few years, I have had mostly returning crew.
Wow. So you must be a great captain to work for.
Oh, I'm not sure about that. I think it ebbs and flows.
I just got to pat your back. You got a returning crew. You're doing something right. So, okay. So back to the fishing part. How many fish do you catch in a day, like on average?
It is all over the board.
Well, that's why I asked for an average.
I could catch 30 to 50,000 salmon in a day, which would be huge.
What?
Or we could catch like 100 salmon in a full
day.
It
is all over the board.
So it's really all over the board.
30,000? That is, I can't even like put my mind, can't comprehend that many fish.
That doesn't happen very often.
Wow. Well,
cool
it's like you just go home at that point, right?
No, because you know, it's a little bit addicting. If that happens once, you have to keep going until it happens again.
Oh my gosh, that's insane. So this little boat like goes around in a circle, and you found the fish, I'm guessing, by some kind of like technology software that's like, hey, fish are down underneath here. Or are you like just old school? You see the ripples in the waves, you're tracking, like, how do you know where to like circle them?
Old school.
Really?
And that's one of the coolest parts about it, is we still find salmon because they jump.
Oh.
So we're driving around looking for jumping fish or fish that are just breaking the surface of the water. Like, you are visually looking for signs of fish. We're not using sonars, don't really work for salmon schools. You know, we're not really using technology. We're just using our eyeballs and our intuition. Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. I gotta like make sure we keep moving. So I'm curious, like in the fishing world, what is the like really memorable moment or experience that you've had fishing?
Oh, that is a hard question. I've had so many.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say the most, because I was like, that's not fair.
Um, you know, a few years ago, so I've been running this fishing boat for 6 years.
Okay.
My father passed away and
Okay.
I took
Mm.
over his business. So this past
Inherited it, or
I,
he's like, you take it, or you raised your hand and said, I'm taking it.
I raised my hand and
Okay.
took it.
Wow.
So um
Special.
I've been running the business for 6 years and my sister has been helping me. She's been my right hand man. She's been by my side.
Mm-hmm.
About 4 years ago, so not very far into us being fishermen. It was the end of the season. It was a very poor fishing year. And there was only one area open where we were allowed to fish because most of it had been shut down at the end of the season. And we were waiting in line with a bunch of boats. There was only one area to put the net. So we were all waiting our turn for that
Yeah.
area. There were maybe 25 to 30 boats waiting in line, just kind of sitting there watching.
Mm-hmm.
And our turn was finally up, put our net in the water, and we catch maybe 5 or 6 times more fish than all of the other boats in the line. And everybody's there
Whoa.
watching. And, we're the young kids, we're the new kids, we're women.
All of you are? Or
Well,
just you and your sister? Yeah.
my sister and I, and yeah, one other
Yeah.
usually on the boat.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty exciting day. That was one of my most memorable experiences since I've been in charge of the fishing boat. Was, you know, it was it gave us the confidence. It made me feel like I do have a place here. I can
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah, because I would imagine, to the we were women part, like it's probably a pretty predominantly male industry. How many other women are captains, let alone working on the boats?
It's increasing. Women are great fishermen.
Yeah.
So, I would say there are at least one or two females on most boats
Okay.
these days,
Yeah.
but there are not very many female captains.
Yeah.
Maybe eight. I think there are eight of us in my fishing fleet of about 200, just over 200.
Yeah. So 4%,
Mm-hmm.
not very many.
Not very many, but it's
Yeah,
it's increasing, which is
which
great to
is
see.
that is cool. And I think, yeah, to your point on your story, like it's probably easy to like feel like you don't belong being younger. Because I mean, I'm looking at you and talking to you. You are not the prototypical like Alaska fisherman captain. Like I'm just it's not. So, and there's a reason that that's the case, right? Like there are a lot more older men that have traditionally done the job. And so, yeah,
Exactly.
that is a really cool story. Like you feel like it's kind of like you've now arrived in a way, right? Like it's like a rite of passage kind of moment almost.
That was exactly it. It felt like a rite of passage and it felt like we succeeded. We
Yeah.
did a good job. And, that just felt good. It was also
Mm,
the end of that season. So, I think we only fished 2 more days after that day. And it was the perfect wrap on that
hmm.
year and the perfect confidence boost to be like, okay, let's keep
Doing what I'm
going.
supposed to
We
be
got
doing.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Let's set the fishing stuff aside, although I don't want to, and talk about the skiing side. So, how long have you been skiing? It sounds like probably most of your life, but when did you first start? Like how old were you?
I was first put on skis at 3 years old.
3 years old.
So
And
it's
was
been
it in Alaska?
no, it was here at home in Sun Valley, Idaho, where
Okay.
I grew up and have lived in the winters.
Okay. So you've been doing the like back and forth Alaska, Sun Valley your whole life.
Pretty much, yeah. When we were kids, we would take turns going to Alaska to visit our dad. So we'd each
Okay.
spend, 2 weeks to a month up there
Okay.
summer.
How many siblings do you have? You mentioned one sister. Is it just the two of you, or do you have
Um,
more than?
I have a younger sister and a younger brother.
Okay, so you're the oldest.
I'm the oldest.
All right, same. I'm the oldest. So took turns, Sun Valley, Idaho. You were 3 years old. When did you know you wanted to like make skiing a career?
Growing up, I was a ski racer. I was
Okay.
pretty vested in ski racing, and I did want that to be my career. I wanted to go to college and ski race. I wanted to be on the US ski team. I wanted to go to the Olympics. And then when it came time to going to college and pursuing that, I wasn't good enough. And
Oh,
I was not going to make it as a ski racer. I was
yeah.
doing fine and I was enjoying it. And I don't regret any part of it, but I wasn't going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Was that
um,
hard? Was that a hard realization?
it was actually, it was a
Yeah.
hard realization, but also a powerful learning experience that you don't succeed in everything you set out to do, but that doesn't mean it didn't benefit your life.
That's a good word.
So
Yeah. So can you unpack that a little bit? Like, it wasn't what you set out to do, but how did it benefit your life? Because obviously you're a professional skier, but like, how are you tying that to now?
right. So I mean, it obviously gave me the skiing skills that
Yeah.
I use today.
Yeah.
And then ski racing at that level, as a teenager, really taught me to travel. It taught me how to work hard. It taught me how to be independent. It taught me how to set goals and go for them and how to train.
Mm-hmm.
I learned pretty young that if you worked hard, you see results. And if you slack on your work, your results slack. So
Yeah.
just a lot of life lessons that I was fortunate enough to gain when I was, still a teenager.
Yeah. So, okay. So you didn't make it as a ski racer, and it sounds like you learned that in college age. So when did you like become a professional skier? Like 2 years later, last year, and how did that like come about? Because if it's like most people, they're like, oh, it's not going to work. All right, I'll do something else. So like, how'd you get there?
Um, I love to ski.
Yeah.
That came from my family. That also came from ski racing. I had some great coaches that really fostered a love of skiing.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew I wasn't going to quit skiing. If I was going to quit ski racing, that didn't mean I was going to stop skiing. I was still going to go skiing as much as possible. That is kind of all I know. It's all I've ever done, and it still brings me joy.
Yeah.
So when I quit ski racing, I just continued to ski, and I was skiing every day. I entered some big mountain competitions. So I toured around on the free skiing world tour for a few years doing big mountain competitions, which was a lot more fun than ski racing, more
Mm,
camaraderie, more laid back, less strict,
yeah.
emphasis on smiling rather than winning.
Yeah.
And um, I really fell in love with that and the people that I was
So
skiing with,
can
and
you
from there it
explain
turned
that?
into a career.
So explain big mountain skiing, like for people that aren't as familiar with the ski world and the different types and styles there are, like what is this style?
Okay, so big mountain ski competitions are set up pretty much where there is a big face on a mountain, and this face has cliffs and chutes and rocks and trees and steeps and all sorts of technical hazards, I guess.
Yeah.
And as an athlete, you look at this face and you pretty much have free reign to do whatever you want to get yourself from the top to the bottom. So you choose your way down, you choose your route, you choose the airs that you're going to jump off of and the tricks that you're going to do. You
Yeah.
choose if you're going to ski super fast or if you're going to ski slow and ski through something very technical.
Uh-huh.
And it's a judge sport. There's judges at the bottom. They watch everybody ski and they decide who executed it in the best way.
So is it how much of it is like just subjective style scoring versus like technical objective scoring?
So it's a combination of both.
Okay, like 50-50 kind of deal.
Yeah, there's they've been changing the judging recently. I think it's broken down into 4 or 6 categories that they
Okay.
judge you on. But it's, yeah, some of it's subjective, some of it's objective.
Yeah.
You know,
So
it's always a little slidey there.
so does it ever feel like I don't agree with them? Like
Oh, yeah.
judges, they didn't know, you know? Or is it like, okay, I could see why they won, you know,
Um,
most of the time?
Both, you know, with any judge sport, there's always going to be a, that was weird. Why did they
Yeah,
do
that's true.
that?
Hmm.
But the cool
Okay.
thing about the competitive big mountain skiing was, like I said, it wasn't so serious where if you felt that you were judged wrong, you threw a fit and felt like you were robbed. It was more
Hmm.
of a, okay, what can I learn from that? And what can I do different next time?
Yeah. So, okay. How do they decide? Because there's like so many mountains in the world. How do they decide what mountain, like, maybe you don't know the answer to this, but like, we're just going to do this mountain? Like, how do they decide? You know, like,
You know, when you've been doing it for a long time, you can kind of find places that are ideal venues. You know,
okay.
it's nice when they're next to ski resorts so that,
Okay.
you know, public can come up to watch
Hmm.
and it's easy to access.
Yeah.
So next to ski resorts is pretty ideal. And then just having a pretty varied um, amount of terrain helps
Okay.
so that there's options
Yeah.
and different ways for people to interpret the mountain.
Yeah. So what qualify, like, at what point does it go from like medium mountain to big mountain? Like, how big of a face are we talking about? Like, what's the cutoff?
I don't think that there is a technical size that it needs to be, but I would say most venues are, you know, they're at least 1,000 feet of vert, and I'm pretty sure most of them are more
Yeah. Big.
big. Mhm.
Are you, when you're on the top, do you get like dropped off by helicopter every time?
Sometimes helicopters are involved. Sometimes it's an easy hike, you
Okay.
know, from a chairlift.
Yeah.
It's hard hike.
Yeah. Yeah. You said
Um,
easy hike.
but I retired from big mountain competitions
Oh, you
almost
did.
10 years ago. So
What?
yeah.
So you're still a professional skier though?
So
Oh,
from
so
there,
let's move on.
I
What are you doing now? Thank you for correcting me. My goodness.
no, I'm a big fan of big mountain competitions. They're still
Yeah.
running. There's a huge junior circuit now.
Oh, cool.
So I mean, this didn't
Yeah.
exist when I was a kid, but now
Yeah.
there's a really big junior big mountain circuit, you know,
That's
around the
like
world,
18 and under.
18 and under, and it's so fun to go watch. Those
I
kids are phenomenal skiers. I love it.
I cannot imagine being a parent and like sending your 12-year-old down 1,000-foot face of a mountain with just free reign to do
Mhm.
what they like. That's next level
They're
of
talented.
responsibility given to a kid. But I mean, obviously it works because no one would do it if they didn't make it down. All right, so big mountain skiing, no more. What are you doing now? Like, what is the type of skiing that you're doing that
So
is paying you?
now I'm skiing for films and photos.
Oh, artistic skiing.
So yeah, the competition morphed into more of a media centered ski.
Yeah. Man, I could ask you. So, what like what's the goal of those? Is it entertainment? Is it inspiration? Is it, I'm guessing they're all a little bit different, but yeah, what's the goal? Like generally speaking
All
for
of the above,
okay.
entertainment, inspiration, you know, there's definitely a marketing aspect, you know.
Uh-huh.
That's how these things get funded.
Right,
You know,
right.
trying to sell ski gear or locations.
Sure. So
Um,
what's like what's your favorite project that maybe favorite's not fair. What is a really cool project that you got to work on?
um, I just had a film. I was in the most recent Warren Miller film that is touring around right now, premiering across the country. And
Wow.
part of my segment in Warren Miller last year was I got to go skiing in Greece.
In Greece?
In Greece, which when I was invited on the trip, I didn't even know you could ski in Greece.
Yeah, neither.
So it just opened this really cool world that I didn't know was possible. And it was a phenomenal trip, and the skiing was great and the people were great.
Yeah.
So that's a special one, and that's premiering right now as we speak.
Right now. What's it
Mhm.
called?
It's called Warren Miller's Daymaker.
What does daymaker mean? Like it made his day?
I think yeah, making days.
Okay, cool. Okay, last ski question for now. What is one of the like obviously Greece was really cool, but like what's like another really unique or memorable place that you've gotten to ski? And it doesn't have to be like a place that everybody can go. It could be like some random mountain in the middle of nowhere. But
Okay, well,
curious.
this fits with the theme of the podcast because this was
Oh,
an incredibly difficult but rewarding trip. In 2013, I sailed from Iceland to the southern tip of Greenland in order to access the mountains on the southern tip of Greenland to ski them.
is that the only way you can do that?
It was pretty hard to get there, and I'm
Yeah.
not sure how much those peaks had been skied before we got there. I don't think we can claim that we were the first, but we probably were.
Yeah. Well, shoot, just claim it then. Till somebody tells you otherwise. It's like,
Mhm.
why not? You know? That's okay. So you sailed. How long of a sail was that?
It was a 4-day sail in the winter, so it
Gross.
was pretty gnarly.
Ah, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
And
and
then
then you got there, and how long were you there for?
we got there and we spent just over 2 weeks sailing into these fjords, exploring and climbing mountains and skiing, and um, we made a film on it. It's called Shifting Ice and Changing Tides. It's from 2013, so it's a little old, but
Okay.
a great experience.
Wow. That's amazing. So many cool things that you've gotten to do. You must have a better tolerance for cold than most people, though.
I'm out in the cold a lot.
Yeah. Man, like it's cold here right now, and I'm not a fan. I realized, this is just personal confession time. I realized on Saturday it was like 25 degrees, but it was sunny.
Mm.
And so it's beautiful. Like we had gotten snow, and I've just been like the downer guy of like, oh, I don't like snow. I grew up in California, so I feel like it justifies me a little bit. Like I didn't have to live in it as a kid. But people give me such a hard time, my wife included. And I confessed on Saturday that it's not snow I don't like. It's the gray and the gloomy and the dark in the winter. The snow in the sunshine is amazing. So anyways, I've come a long ways, and then I felt like I needed to share that with you because I was starting to be a downer about the cold. So anyways,
I
probably
know
cut
what
that
you
part out.
mean. The weather
Yeah.
really affects our moods, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's like, oh, it's not the snow. Snow is off the hook. It's the clouds. So yeah. Okay. I am going to transition us to the point of this podcast, which is like doing hard things, and the intention behind it being to be an encouragement to other people. So I think that when we get in the middle of hard seasons, it's difficult to get ourselves mentally out of them, especially like when it feels heavy. And the thing that we've come to realize is a really good tool for that are other people's stories, because they provide one, hope that like the season ends, there's something good that can come from it, and perspective that like I'm not the only person who's been in this valley before. Like I don't have to be alone, even though I feel alone. And so that's why we're doing the podcast, to be an encouragement to people in the middle of hard seasons. And we thought stories are really powerful. So the question is, what's the hardest thing in your life that you wouldn't take back? And then subsequently, why?
Taking over my father's fishing business is the hardest thing that I have ever done.
Mm.
And it was something I wasn't sure I could do going into it.
6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Okay.
It's still hard. and I don't regret one moment.
So talk about why it's hard, and or why it was hard and why it still is, but maybe start with like that transition and what made it hard then.
Okay, we're going into a long story.
Let's do it.
So I grew up working on my dad's fishing boat in the summers.
Yeah.
You know, I'd been doing that since I was a kid. It's how I put myself through college. It's how I started my ski career before I had paying sponsors. I had really relied on my work in the summer on my dad's fishing boat to live and grow and figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I did not have any intention of running my own boat. I was very happy working for my dad in the summer and then skiing in the winter.
Yeah.
In 2016, end of 2016, my dad died in an avalanche.
In an avalanche.
So it was a tragic, sudden, unexpected accident.
How old was he?
55.
55. And like, were you with him? Was he by himself? What happened?
I was not with him.
Okay.
So,
I'm sorry.
But you know, that was obviously rocked my world.
Yeah.
So many ways. And part of it was trying to figure out what we were going to do with the fishing business and how we were going to move forward.
We being you and your siblings?
And my siblings.
Yeah.
And something came up inside of me that I didn't know was there that said, I got this. Without ever having thought of it before and ultimately not really knowing what I was doing.
Yeah.
I just found this confidence to try. And I think part of what gave me the confidence to try was this acceptance and okayness with failing if I were to fail.
Okay. You're gonna have to explain that one a little bit.
I know. So this is getting kind of deep, but
that's okay.
Honestly, I don't know where it came from inside of me, but there was just this feeling of I have to try. I want to try. I can do this. But the fear of failure went away.
Just out of like, with no real explanation.
No real explanation. It was just this like, okay, I could fail because I really don't know what I'm doing. So I could fail here. And there was an acceptance around that. It was kind of like, I got to try.
Yeah. Why did you feel like you had to try? Like, because I'm wondering, was that same feeling present in your siblings? Of like, no, we have to do this. And you were just, because you're the oldest, kind of like the leader of it. Or was it really just internal to you of like, no, like, this is the path forward. Like, and you don't know where it came from, but that was what was there.
Exactly. It was internal to me, and kind of in the tone that you just said that, in a very like casual 100%. Yeah, duh. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But if you were to have asked me 6 months previous if that was a path for me, I would have said no way.
Yeah.
There's just something that happened inside of me that gave me the confidence to go for it and the acceptance of failing.
How much do you think the failure, I'll call it failure, of like not making the racing team, let's go back to that. Like, how much do you think that failure gave you the ability to like be willing to fail in this arena?
I've actually thought about that a lot. And I think that my experience as a teenager of not reaching the goal that I had been striving for prepared me for this, because that younger self experience showed me that I can work really hard and try to make something happen. And if it doesn't, it's okay. Shoot.
You're okay. Again, we can edit, so it's totally fine.
Yeah. And so I think that experience when I was a teenager of not reaching my goal,
Yeah.
taught me that it's okay to go for something with that you aren't quite sure about, but you want to do. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't work, great.
Yeah. Yeah. So that you're not saying this directly, and I'm wondering if this is something that you've thought. Um, it's almost like you changed the goal, or like people would look at a new endeavor, as like the goal is to succeed or to win or to whatever the like right end result is, but instead the goal was to like try. And I
Yes.
don't know if that's like the right phrasing for, your mentality, but that's what I'm hearing a little bit. And you could fill it in if it's not the case.
I mean, it's really along the lines of the cliche. It's about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that is cliche to say, but it's pretty true.
Well, there's a reason it's a cliche.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back to like so your dad died, you said at the end of 2016,
Mhm.
which obviously gave you a little bit of time before the fishing season. Can you walk me through like that, like whatever it was, 4, 6, 7 month window of time between like, hey, dad's gone. This is like the decision in front of us. Decision, actually like boots on the ground or boots on the boat, like doing it. And like, were you just always steadfast and resolute, like this is where it's going? Or was there some moments of doubt and wavering and just like having to like pick yourself up and keep going in that window of time? Because I think, and the reason I'm asking about that window versus the season is I think once you're like in it, you're just in it, like, okay, this is where I'm at. I'm just gonna like keep going every day. But the prep where the option is still available to like say no, I think is like the more interesting time. And like, what was that if it was a roller coaster or just that ride emotionally and mentally leading up to like that first time you walked on the boat and like set sail?
It was really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely an emotional roller coaster. You know, grief is heavy.
Hmm.
Grief enters into all parts of your life. And it's something that doesn't go away. It's something I'm still dealing with.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, you're living your dad's life
Right.
to some extent. So it's like he's probably very present in everything you're doing.
So, yeah, those 6 months leading up to actually going fishing were hard. There were moments of feeling numb,
Mm,
and there were moments of, aggressive doubt. Luckily, I have a really solid support system with my family and my siblings,
yeah.
and we were able to go through that together.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I really credit being able to, you know, pull on our boots and keep going to the support that we gave each other through that
Hmm.
process and through that period of time.
Yeah.
And, of course, there were a lot of days and moments of, I don't want to do this. I'm scared.
Yeah. No kidding. How old were you like when that happened and you became the captain of the boat?
I was 29.
29. Yeah. So like, I don't know, as captains go, I can't imagine that's very old for a captain. So like a baby captain in a way,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
not a lot
Um,
of training as a captain.
I had a lot of help.
Mm,
So something that I had to learn through that process was how to ask for help,
that's
which is
so good.
difficult. It's
Yeah.
so hard to ask for help.
Mm,
Something I still work on, but
yeah.
help from my family, from my dad's peers, from other fishermen, you know,
Yeah.
the web of support was so great that's what got me through to the initial point of, okay, we're going.
Yeah.
Like without all of that support and all of the help from the people around me, I don't know if I would have untied the boat from the dock.
Yeah. Oh man. Can you remember any specific piece of advice that you were given in that period of time that like really resonated or propelled you forward?
Honestly, the best advice that I was given then was to ask for help.
Really?
Was
Mm.
don't be too proud to ask for help.
Who gave you that advice?
One of the other boat captains, one of the other boat captains who I'm still close with and still talk to often.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't be too proud to ask for help, because it's easy to fall into being too proud.
Yeah. And you want to like prove that you know what you're doing, you know, and like, it's strange, you know, but like in I'll call it our society, the like independence that's present in our culture, like creates that lack of ability to ask for help and still look strong and independent, like because independence is so valued, right? But like in other communal cultures, it's like you aren't doing something on your own. It's a collective effort. And so help is just like built into the system. But in our culture, like help is the opposite. Help is like a broken part of the system, right? So yeah, it makes it tricky. So like
it's unfortunate because it's so valuable.
Right.
You can learn so much from other people, and it feels good to help others. Like there's no reason why we all shouldn't be vulnerable enough to help each other and ask for help and voice when we're unsure.
Yeah, totally. And what's funny too is that like, you know, that fisherman and probably other fishermen, yourself now, like when people are really good at something, they like want to talk about it and they want to share it, you know? And so it's like when you ask somebody like, hey, I've recognized that this is like a really valuable thing you have to offer. Can you tell me about it or teach me something in it? That's just like, you just opened up the floodgates, you know, for people most of the time, you know?
Most of the time, yeah.
Yeah. So, but it feels like that's not going to be the case, or we're so focused on ourselves and like, what does that mean about my ability to ask for help, that like, you know, fear or whatever gets in the way. But then when you do it, you're like, oh, this was totally worth it. They told me so many things. Yeah. Yeah. Why was I so intimidated by that?
Yeah.
So, okay. You made the comment that it is still hard. You know, 6 years later, we were talking about, you know, the initial 6 months. So why is it like, why did you make that comment? What about now versus, you know, 6 years ago is hard? Is it the same stuff or has it changed?
Both. The same stuff in the sense of, you know, I miss my dad a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I went skiing today up on Sun Valley Resort, our local resort here. And I would always go skiing with my dad early season. We would always go skiing together, and we're just skiing groomers and we're having fun. And I get bored and he never got bored. So I kept going because he wanted to keep going. And, you know, I was thinking about that today when I was skiing by myself.
Yeah.
And so I just, you know, I miss him. I wish that I could ask for advice. I think about him a lot while I'm fishing and while I'm up in Alaska, and wonder what he would think, what he would tell me.
Is there a part of you that has been like, I want to run away from everything that's familiar and like not have all these painful emotions connected to like my everyday?
Yes.
And what makes you, you know, like not give into that, like wanting to run kind of feeling?
That feeling's usually fleeting. And I get so much joy out of what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
I love being on the ocean. I love being in the mountains. And you know, what a cool gift my father gave me to teach me how to do all of this.
No kidding.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
No, it's not something I'm just going to run away from. And maybe at some point in my life, I will change careers and, do something different than what I'm doing right now. But right now, I like it and
Yeah.
I'm happy. So, of course, that feeling creeps in of this is too much. I'm sad. I'm overwhelmed and I want to run away.
Mm-hmm.
But it's usually momentary and that passes. And there's just, gratitude for what I have and what I get to do every day. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Gratitude wins.
yeah, gratitude wins. And then even being grateful for how hard it is sometimes.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
I really don't want to go pull out my main engine and replace the seals. Like I really don't want to do that,
Yeah.
but I'm going to learn a lot. It's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And when I'm done, it's going to be better than it was before.
And I did it.
And I did it. So it's
Yeah.
super satisfying.
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah.
So the like now hard is one, like still the like sadness of missing your dad, and then two, just the physical nature of the two jobs that you have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow. So for somebody who is in the middle of their own like hard season right now, maybe it's they lost a parent, maybe it's they just have a really hard job or something totally different. What advice do you have for that person?
My advice is to be easy on yourself, first off. Allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling. I've at first when I lost my dad, I found myself in this headspace of, why are you so sad? Snap out of it. Don't be so sad. And that's not helping anything, you know?
Yeah.
Whatever it is you're feeling, allow yourself to feel that because
Mm-hmm.
you will make your way through it on your own
Yeah.
time. Just let yourself feel and don't be too proud to ask for help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So talk about the like let yourself feel idea, because I think people hear that and they're like, okay, and then they start to like how do you, because people don't live on their own, like they're not alone and they have interactions with other people, and so like what is the balance between like the full expression of your emotion and relations with other people? And I don't know if you have advice for that, because one thing that's unique, I think, with death specifically is that like in relationships with other people, the impact isn't felt, like they don't feel it the way you feel it. And so it's like, you want to give people permission, you want to have permission to like fully experience that. But then how do people like meet you there? Like what is it, asking questions? Is it just like being present? Is it, space and distance? Like what is when people are a part of it, how does that like work itself out?
So for me, what I appreciated from the people around me was acceptance and allowance and being present.
And you say acceptance, like acceptance of where you were at.
Acceptance of where I'm at. Like,
Yeah.
like, it's been 6 years since my dad passed away, but I bet sometime in the next month I am going to break down and cry and have a really hard day.
Yeah.
And I just need the people around me to like be okay with that. No
Mm-hmm.
judgment. They don't have to ask questions. I don't need to be coddled. Just like, I hear you, I feel you. It's okay.
Yeah.
You do you.
Mm. Yeah. So give permit or give space for that
Give
person to
space
like
and
fully deal
mhm,
in whatever way they need to, and potentially like make that public if that's like the
mhm,
need, right?
if that's the need.
Yeah. And then just it sounds like be consistent, right? Like I would imagine that show up the next day.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Be consistent.
yeah.
Don't run away. Don't ignore things. It's
Mm-hmm.
death and grief are hard to talk about. And it's hard to comfort people that are going through that, and it's hard to make your way through it when you're in it.
Right.
It's just, don't ignore, don't close doors, don't, if there's an elephant in the room, don't push it in the corner. Like, just, it's uncomfortable and it's awkward for everyone. So we
Yeah.
might as well just like be open and supportive in whatever capacity that needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah. How much has the experience of losing your dad shaped like the way that you approach life? So I know it's kind of a big open-ended question, but when you think about like prior to your dad passing, the way that you approach life and maybe like, I'm going to do this or that, and now like what are maybe one or two of the things that, that shifted for you?
Following your heart and your passions is really important. We can all say that, and we talk about it, and we hear sayings all the time: do what you love to do, follow your heart, follow your dreams, dream big. But we don't actually act on those things very much. And losing my dad gave me a reality check of, life isn't infinite, obviously, but it was a nice reality check in that. And okay, then my life is not going to be very long. If say I live to be 100, it's still not that much time. So
Right.
what do I want to do? Open up your heart, live full, live passionate, do things that make you happy. And that's not comfortable all the time, and that's not easy all the time.
Yeah. So can you think of a thing that you've done in the last 6 years that you would not have done, prior to like having that kind of switch in approach to life?
Actually, surprisingly, I've started to, with my ski career. 6 years ago, my ski career was booming, and I was getting all these cool opportunities, and I was saying yes to everything and like going. And something that's changed is I've slowed down a little bit, because I've realized that part of what keeps me happy and keeps me whole is taking time for myself, and taking time to rest, and taking time to take care of my body. And so that's something that I have put a lot more value on these past 6 years, because I know that that's what makes me feel good.
Yeah. And probably like gives you some kind of like longer runway to do those things. It's like, if you just like, yes, eventually like something's going to break, like you got to have that rest time. I mean, there's probably a really good fishing analogy in there somewhere about taking care of the boat, but I don't want to pretend like I'm coming up with one, but I'm confident there's one in there somewhere.
There's one in there.
Yeah. So yeah, you got to like, if you want to get some length out of it, you gotta stop every once in a while. Totally. Okay. So I ask everybody this, and honestly, I probably don't need to, but I'm going to ask it anyways, because maybe there's something else. But I ask everybody this at the end, because difficulties are just a part of life. And like, it's not like we're all guaranteed one hard season, like we're going to have difficult things that we're going through always, if we're looking to grow. So what is a hard thing that you're in the middle of right now?
Hard thing that I'm in the middle of right now is trying to figure out how to balance being a fisherman and a skier, which I have
Still.
been, and it's been a long time, but I do catch myself feeling like I am not doing either one to my best ability.
And do you think it's possible to do one, like both at the same time to your best ability?
That's the hard thing I'm trying to figure out right now. Is it possible, or am I okay with doing both, not at top tier,
80%. Yeah.
doing both at 80%? Do I drop one way down and go all in on the other? And when I love both of my seasons and both of my occupations so much, it's hard to decide. So
Yeah.
I am feeling a little stuck in a decision that haven't made yet.
Mm-hmm.
And making that decision is going to be very difficult.
Yeah. No
And
kidding.
I can't tell you which way it's going to go and what's going to end up happening, but I'm working through it and thinking about it a lot. And I'm confident that at some point something's going to click.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
Yeah. So you feel like that's like an imminent thing before you start fishing again, like you're figuring it out this winter, or it's just something that's on your mind and when it clicks, it clicks?
It's something that's on my mind, but something that I will probably figure out by the end of next summer.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's going to look like going all in on one of them and being full on 100%.
Yeah.
And then dropping one of them down.
Yeah. So they'll still both be present to some
Still
extent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But they won't be 50-50.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do you have people like your siblings that you are processing all that with?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do your
Yep.
siblings, like, cause your sister's on the boat with you. What is is your brother like in Sun Valley in the winter? Like where, is there an overlap with your brother, or is he just kind of off doing his own thing, but you still talk to him?
There's an overlap. My brother Axel lives in Bozeman. He's a professional cinematographer. So he
Oh,
does mostly wildlife cinematography.
that's right. I knew that because and he is amazing.
And he's amazing. He's incredible.
Yeah.
But I convince him to film my skiing every once in a while. So we have an overlap there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he should do it more because he did the fishing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Cool. Okay. So for people who are like, man, I got to know more about McKenna, or I have a question for her, something she said like really struck a chord for me, or like, how can people keep up with you and what you're doing? Maybe they just want to know, like, what's she going to do? Is she going to be all in on fishing, or is she going to be like, where can they keep up with you? Where could they ask a question if they, if that's an option for them? Let people know.
You can find me on Instagram, MCK_P. That's pretty much the only social media platform where I respond to messages and am actually engaged.
Okay, great.
That's the best place to get a hold of me.
We'll drop that in the show notes for people if they are interested. But man, super interesting, like life in general, but also just like a really vulnerable story. I just want to acknowledge like what you shared is difficult. And so thank you for being willing to do it. You didn't have to. And so, and I am sorry for like the loss of your dad. And I can only imagine how difficult that was. And still is. But thank you for being willing to share that story with us. I think it'll benefit somebody. I'm confident of that.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me. It's been nice.
Absolutely.